Of the topics of aviation in Asia, the trans-Pacific travel scene is among the most interesting due to it being a competitive market. Travelers have a good selection of choice when it comes to options to cross the Pacific. That said, while being competitive, there hasn't been much disruption to the market, though one new startup airline aims to do so via the US state known as the Last Frontier. That recently revealed startup airline is named Northern Pacific Airways, and it is aiming to connect the North American continent with Asia using Alaska as its hub. The concept of Northern Pacific Airways recently made headlines on some aviation-related blogs, some mainstream media outlets. Based on the reports, the new airline is part of expansion plans for a regional-based airline in Alaska named Corvus Airlines, which operates under the name of Ravn, Alaska. This is probably an airline you don't hear about, but it has a long history of air services in Alaska since 1948. Operating other names, it was renamed Ravn in 2014. However, recently due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it encountered turbulence and it filed for a Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2020, leading to the shutdown of the airline. Then, on a positive turn of events, the airline was able to resume operations in late October with new management. Since then, Ravn primarily operates charter flight services around Alaska, using a fleet of de Havilland Dash 8 turboprop aircraft. While one of the smaller regional airlines in the United States, is looking to go beyond Alaska and into North America and Asia with the new brand name of Northern Pacific Airways. These plans have been revealed by the airline CEO Rob McKinney, which the airline aims to be a budget airline operating out of Anchorage Ted Stevens Airport. Through Anchorage, it would offer connecting services between North America and Asia, and among the cities that were named as potential destinations in the US were Los Angeles, New York, Las Vegas, and Orlando. Across the Pacific and Asia, the two destinations that were eyed by the airline possible launch in 2022 were Tokyo and Seoul. For its fleet, the airline is reportedly looking at getting second-hand Boeing 757 jets, which the airline plans to have around 12 of the aircraft in its fleet by the year 2023. So far, there is no word yet as to which variant, the Dash 200 or the Dash 300, that the airline would acquire for the 757s. Along with promoting trans-Pacific travel through Alaska, the airline aims to also promote tourism in Alaska through its own local network. So based on what we know, the airline will have some opportunities and challenges to look forward to. Based on what has been reported, it is clear that it is highly ambitious for an airline focusing on international travel to be based in Alaska. This notion may seem far-fetched, though Alaska is served by major U.S. carriers operating flights to and from the U.S. mainland. Among these airlines is Alaska Airlines, which is named after Alaska, though the airline is actually based near Seattle, Washington. However, Alaska plays a significant role in the history of trans-Pacific travel, as previously it has been used as a stop for trans-Pacific and also travel between Europe and Asia. This Northwest Passage was an alternative to island hopping across the Pacific in an era before the 787s and A350s being able to cross the Pacific on non-stop flights between continents. Even though passenger flights will overfly Alaska, especially Ted Stevens Airport, is a major hub for cargo airlines transiting cargo between continents. The next issue would be the aircraft, and the selection of the 757 does meet the needs for the airline. Northern Pacific appears to be taking the page of another airline offering lower fares between North America and Europe, namely Iceland Air, which uses Iceland as a hub. In the case of Northern Pacific, either the Dash 200 or the Dash 300 would meet the requirements for identified cities that they would want to serve. From Anchorage, a 757 would be able to fly to the continental United States along with Canada and some parts of Mexico. The aircraft would also have the range to reach Hawaii, Japan, and South Korea. Now the question would go down to which variant that the airline would want to get, either the Dash 200 for the range or the Dash 300 for capacity but shorter range. Again, there's no indication as to which variant the airline would want to get. Depending on their choices, the Dash 200 could possibly open up some more opportunities in Asia and even parts of Northern Europe like London. So these routes are likely going to be pushing the boundaries for the 757s. If the airline wants to add more capacity for a premium product, there may be a possibility they would select the Dash 300. With its mentioned ambitions, it is throwing its hat into a highly competitive market of the trans-Pacific travel scene, field dominated by major legacy airlines offering convenient connections from their hubs in North America to Asia. Another point that while it is doable for a hub to be set up in Alaska, the question of whether it would be an attractive connecting option is another one. For this, I think Alaska does have some unique proposition, especially offering the natural wonders as tourist attractions in the area. This could be packaged as a getting away from it all kind of scene, as I could see the marketing for the airline and its transit options in Alaska, excursions to the Denali National Park or to see the Northern Lights. As appealing as these options are, the ultimate question is would the lower fares stop in Alaska would be a viable option for most of the travelers. This is probably the most interesting story I have done so far this year, especially in a year dominated by the COVID-19 pandemic still going on. While refreshing as this story may be, what are your thoughts on the concept of Northern Pacific Airways, and can it succeed and reshape the trans-Pacific travel scene in the Asia-Pacific? Is the idea of the airline a realistic idea or overly ambitious? In the meantime, I definitely hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. This has been Flights in Asia, highlighting the news and updates from the aviation and travel scene in the Asia-Pacific. Thank you for watching and have a great day.